Welcome to the Shaman and the Mermaid. I was just playing the beautiful drum that my wife Katrina gave me for my birthday this year. It's from Sweet Medicine Drums down in Taos, New Mexico. And I was playing it here because I wanted to set the tone or the heartbeat for our message to you this week. And if you remember nothing else, our message is about reconnecting to Mother Earth and the heartbeat of Mother Earth and getting back in rhythm with things that are healing and nurturing to ourselves and Mother Earth.
Well, part of our impetus for focusing on the Earth is we need to, but it's also the Sagittarius new moon. That's Monday, December 14th, which is also a total solar eclipse, which is the second one. Our last one was our last report, the Gemini full moon, and it was a partial lunar eclipse. So that one opened the gate, and this one on the 14th is closing the gate of a shorter cycle, eclipse cycle. This little cycle is part of a bigger cycle, and we'll talk about some of these cycles that are playing out. But as this shorter cycle's gate closes, it's a eclipse, as we said, so that's a time to clip and cut and let go and, just get rid of it. We've had this time to brew from the last full moon to now to really percolate, and we invited everyone to kind of value or weigh out those dualities that were what's right, what's wrong, what's yes, what's no, and to find the middle path between the two. Figure out what's superfluous in our life that is, distracting us and keeping us from that middle path focus. And then this last eclipse here will be the one that we say, okay, done. So our theme this time is draw your swords and cut those cords in honor of that total solar eclipse on December 14th. And the draw your swords part is metaphorical in some sense of standing in your power, holding your own, being who you are. But also it has that warrior energy, and the warrior energy is going to play out throughout this report, and much to do with Mars, much to do with Eris, much to do with Aries. There's going to be a few little bits there that require our warrior energy to be strong and to be standing in its power, or holding the sword, drawing our sword. And then cutting those cords are the energies around us that are strapping us down, keeping us binded and bound, keeping us from moving forward onto the direction that our heart and soul really want us to move towards. And sometimes these cords are not so easy to recognize because they seem like they're friendly. They've been familiar cords. We've known these people cords or places cords or job cords for a very long time, and we're comfortable with them. But what is being asked of us is to shake up and shake off some of these old patterns and ways, because the old systems are crumbling. And many, I think, have been trying to just hang in there. And I can't tell you how many times we've heard from family members and friends saying, if we can just hang in there a little bit longer, this is going to pass and we're going to get through, and everything will be back to maybe not normal, but we'll get back to going on in life. And well, as a small business owners, hanging in there just a little bit longer is really hard to hear. And as many people who are in the service industry, who are artists, who are performers, musicians, that's really hard to hear. Just to hang in there a little bit longer as we approach a year almost of having these troubles in our living systems. So time to cut cords. Time to get rid of, first of all, get that out of your ear. You don't have to hang on to anything much longer. Instead, get proactive. Draw your sword and forge a new territory for yourself. Cut a new path that is resonant with your heart. And you'll find that there's a rhythm or the natural law of the universe called the Ratam that's going to be giving you that momentum to take you forward. But it's when we're clinging to these old ways, trying to grab the side of the bank over there that was in the past. It's back there. You can't grab it anymore. We need to be forward thinking. And so much of this report is going to be about forward thinking, because there's a big conjunction. Probably the biggest part of this whole report is the Saturn-Jupiter conjunction that's coming up on winter solstice, December 21st. But we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of ourselves. So Sagittarian new moon, which is also the total solar eclipse, has a few other aspects on the exact same day that are adding to the fuel of this fiery new moon. Remember, Sagittarius is fire sign, and Sagittarius is the truth seeker, the vision quester. Sagittarian energy wants natural law and order. All of this on a new moon is the time to set that seed of intention for new ways going forward, for not only the self, the individual, but for the collective consciousness as well. So maybe as you set your new moon intention, include helping our friends and family who are having a hard time letting go, that are still clinging to those old cords, hoping to catch that bank that's back there behind us, and help them to cut some of their cords too. But will you speak to these other aspects that are also on that same day?
When the total solar eclipse is happening on Monday, December 14th, there's also Mercury trine Mars, communication trining our willpower, supportively. The dwarf planet Eris, which is in the sign of Aries, will square Pluto. And this aspect is exact at this time of our report, but it's really been happening for over a year and a half. Both Eris and Pluto are very slow-moving energies, and we felt it. Eris is the goddess of discord, of strife, of manslaughter, of forgetfulness, of famine, and Pluto is like Shiva energy, the destroyer and the creator at the same time, or the force of evolution.
It's like your soul self.
Your soul self. And that same day of the total solar eclipse and the Sagittarius new moon, the black moon Lilith energy will be conjunct Uranus, both in the sign of Taurus, of Mother Earth. Did you want to say something about those?
Well, one of the things that I just like both Lilith and Uranus, because they're kind of wild cards together. So to me, they're adding a bit of excitement to this total solar eclipse new moon on December 14th, because they are wanting their earth signs, they're in the earth sign, I should say, and they are wanting us to take heed of earth, and anything could go. And yes, trouble could brew, but also I think whenever there's something destructive, as he said, a Shiva kind of energy, out of that is like the phoenix rising, the ashes behind it. And this, like, sitting still and waiting patiently for something to come, I think we're all starting to feel the churn of that. Like, we can't sit much longer. So I'm excited for Lilith and Uranus to come together, conjunct. Remember, Black Moon Lilith is the sacred feminine, and you might think of her as the secretive side or the mysterious side of Mother Earth or of the moon. She and the moon are in a centrifugal force to each other. And Lilith isn't an object that we see with our naked eyes. It's an energetic force. So she's invisible, and she lives in the invisible realm, but she is not to be reckoned with. And then Uranus is revolution, evolution, innovation. It's that cosmic thinking on a grander scale, like bigger picture stuff, with that lightning bolt random throwdown that he's totally capable of. So with this sacred feminine and this revolutionary wild Uranian thunderbolt coming down, I think that's just, exciting for sure. And with that is that draw the swords and cut the cords energy that's backing up that total solar eclipse. And then he mentioned Eris squaring Pluto. So this is like war and mayhem in the feminine version of it. So if you're familiar with Kali in the yoga tradition, the goddess Kali, Aries has a similar vibe. Aries and Kali are very similar in their energies. And this strong, fierce, like tenacious woman is squaring the soul of consciousness, is squaring this underworld force too. That Pluto is Hades, that's the same. And that is just a whole bunch of potential for cutting cords. So have that sword drawn. And then we move along and we move into Tuesday, December 15th, which is two big things, I think.
Venus goes into the sign of Sagittarius, and Chiron, after almost 5 months of retrograde, goes direct in the sign of Aries. Venus entering Sagittarius, I think, is a reiteration of the first part of that eclipse theme. Venus she rules the sign of Taurus, where Uranus and Lilith were, where Katrina was speaking about. Taurus is the sign for soil and earth and farming and food and money and financing. It's all things of value that we need, physical things that we actually tangibly have to hold, consume, and use. Venus and Taurus are the sign of saying these things need to be in alignment. And Sagittarius is align with the laws of the universe and nature. These are they can be very different from the laws of the central bank, the laws of the U.S. government, the rules of the EPA, whoever is governing them. Those are man-made rules. The rules of Mother Nature are life-affirming. They are about the abundance of staying in alignment with the cycles and seasons of Mother Nature. Or as our teacher Saul says, there's more than enough on this planet for everybody's need. There's not enough for everybody's greed.
And remember, Sag is a truth seeker and a fire sign. So Venus moving in there, she's going to feel really empowered to demand truth for her earth values. And I'm really excited about that because that's something I'm already feeling. I mean, that's only a few days out from now, and I can feel that pulse of start saying your truth about what is the way of the future, and earth first, people. We got to put earth first, or we're not going to have anything to stand on as a platform to speak any other truths that are also necessary. There's many truths, human rights truths we need to be supporting, etc. I could go on. We could all go on. There's a list of things that are ill and not well, and systems have been dumbing them down and keeping them oppressed and suppressed. But we need earth first before we can get to those others. So this to me is screaming for that. And then Chiron direct.
Yes, and I wanted to say something about Venus and Sagittarius, which I actually feel is pretty similar to Chiron direct. Venus is your body. It's the free will rights of your body, and Venus is also the intuitive knowledge in every cell, your DNA, the matrix of your body. And Sagittarius is listening to the truth of your body. Are you getting intuitive hits? Do you feel the freedom of your body, and do you feel like you are connected to the earth and connected to your immune system and connected to health? And Chiron, the wounded healer in Aries also has to do with our physical bodies and health. And so when Chiron is retrograde and it's in the sign of Aries, it's popping up all of these things that have been in a personal psyche and our collective psyche about disempowerment, not being able to make your own choices, not in charge of your own body, not in charge of your own free will, or you've given it away because you like to have Starbucks every day and that's way more convenient. Not to pick on Starbucks.
Right.
But
you know what we mean.
Giving away
our luxuries.
Giving away the laws of Mother Earth for convenience. And in that we become wounded ourselves because we're the fruits of Mother Earth. If Mother Earth is sick, we will be sick. If Mother Earth is sick, our minds will be sick, our emotions will be sick, and our bodies. And Chiron direct, hopefully, is a moment of reflection where it says, what have we learned these past 5 months? What have we learned throughout our lifetime anytime our masculine side has been wounded, our empowerment side? And could we go forward in a new way, in a wiser way, with this masculine energy? Empowered masculine knows how to stand up and protect the feminine.
Chiron, remember, is the wounded healer. And that retrograde that it's been in for the last 5 months has been a time for reviewing of the wound. We've been looking at it. We've had time out. We've had plenty of time out to really take a good hard look at ourselves. And then we say, okay, so this is what I've got, and this is my lot in life. This is my physical capabilities and disabilities. This is my mental capabilities and disabilities. This is my emotional capabilities and disabilities, all the way down. And then we make that assessment, gather what we are capable, our capabilities, and we go forward with it. We've addressed our wounds, we recognize them, we see where we have weaknesses, and then we take our strengths and we move forward with it. Not that we forget our wounds. The wounds are our teachers. The wounds help us to move forward with strength because we know what our weakness is. We can make compensation for it in other ways to guard ourselves and protect ourselves in that wounded area. But now it's time to move forward. No more deliberating of what to do or how to do. It's go. Draw the swords and cut the cords and move forward. So that's all on December 15th. And we move to December 16th, which is a big day too. So we're going boom, 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 right away after the eclipse. What's this one?
Saturn enters the sign of Aquarius, and we're hopeful that this is heralding a big shift in time, karma, and consciousness. Aquarius energy has to do with the next evolutionary cycle that's coming through with revolution, as Katrina said, and hopefully of revelation, awakening, aha. Carl Jung talks about this archetype a lot. It is awakening your unconscious into the conscious. And if you look to science, it says something like, well, we're maybe 3 to 5% conscious. We use that much of our brain. The other 97% is in our subconscious. And so Saturn going into Aquarius is karma waking up that part of you that knows something deeper and more wise about the universe, hopefully.
I think this is a pretty big day just in, for the collective. We'll feel this, it's subtle. All of the astrology is most of the time a subtle thing. But subtle doesn't mean small. It means that even though we're not going to be like in an earthquake situation, there's a radical shift at the same time. So it's not going to throw you around, hopefully, but it is going to be big in its movement and what it does. And so hang on, remember, Saturn is one of those 3 elders that we're talking about that have been in Capricorn, that have been hanging out together, and those 3 are Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto, right? So now Saturn, elder Saturn, has left the party and moved over into Aquarius, leaving Jupiter and Pluto back there. These 3 together have been the big, the board of directors for 2020, and kind of giving us all of the discord, if you will. And they're not giving it to us. We are reacting to the energies that they in combination bring down. If we were in right way, if the human race was in right way, the combination of Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto together, we could probably be, elevated to supreme beings. But we aren't in right way. We're wrong with the earth. We're wrong with each other. We are so far from that harmonious supreme being existence. So we get a global pandemic instead. That's what is played out. And we lose, social contact. And we lose economic stability. And our school systems are slowly crumbling down. And our government systems are quite comedic, actually, and not really being revered too much. And it's just a big shizzle show, if you know what I mean. And so with this first elder moving into Aquarius, it's the old saying of the song, Dawning of the Age of Aquarius. To me, once all 3 of these planets are all together in Aquarius, we will be able to take a very positive step into the new paradigm or our evolutionary consciousness. And they're slowly going to roll out, but 2 of them are going to be together in this report. So Saturn into Aquarius, revolutionary thinking begin, and karma's elevating. So remember, karma's not a bad thing per se, and it's not a good thing per se. Karma is action. Karma is, it can be a bad thing. If you do a bad action, you're going to have that same or like reaction come back to you. Same with good. If you put something good, pay it forward, that's an energy in motion that's going to come around to you eventually. So Saturn moving into Aquarius is a potential for our actions to really have innovation. That's Aquarian energy. Revelation, revolution. All the same things that I said about Uranus are the same things about Aquarius. Uranus and Aquarius belong together. So Saturn moving into Aquarius is potential for great revolutionary times. And then we move to December 19th, 3 days later. Jupiter, the second elder, will move into Aquarius. Now, Jupiter is faith and spirituality. What do you think about that, Jupiter in Aquarius?
Hopefully, that's a big Jupiter word. Hopefully, it will be an awakening of our personal genius, meaning that everybody is of value, everybody has something to contribute, everybody is part of the new paradigm. It's not just the 1%ers or the ones that have PhDs or whatever. It's everybody, every soul that's incarnated on Earth. And I would go as far as the Lakota saying, Mitaki Oisin, all beings are relatives. This includes the water beings and the birds in the air and the soil. They're all our relatives. All of them have something to contribute to our future and are needed as part of the web of life. Jupiter also is greatly connected to, as we said before, the sign of Sagittarius and the laws and rules and unfolding of Mother Nature. And so this could be a reawakening of this new paradigm and returning to Mother Nature. It doesn't mean we have to get away from technology, but it's not looking towards technology as the one and only and main pillar savior of our society. It's here is technology and cognition and intellect, and here is intuition and Mother Nature and cycles, and they work together like this, or they can. And that would be Jupiter and Aquarius to me.
Yeah, that's a really good way to say it. Yeah, because to note, Aquarius and Uranus, as well as Mercury, have technology in their capacity. And so if we just let Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto moving into Aquarius be only about advancing our technology and not tuning into those natural laws and Mother Earth, that could be a sinking ship, like Mother Earth ship sinking. So we need to think outside and beyond just the technology being innovation and revelation and revolution.
And there's technology from the earth, if we use that term.
Yes.
The technology of your DNA, the technology of microbiomes and soil and things that know how to properly balance themselves. That's the ancient technology.
Yeah, and it's really fun to play in. Much more so than trying to figure out how to get your laptop to boot up. So that's December 19th, Jupiter moves into Aquarius. So then Saturn and Jupiter are now in Aquarius. We wait just a little bit longer. Next month, Pluto will be there, and all the elders will be on over. But on that same day, December 19th, is Venus and Chiron, and they have a trine together. And we talked about Venus and Chiron before, when on the 15th, with Venus moving into Sag, Chiron direct, and how that our value systems are, and that's Venus. Venus is also self-love, and trining with now our direct, taking our wound and learning our lessons around it and moving forward. These are working together. So I think this is a really great day for us to feel that ability to draw our own sword and cut those cords. That Venus trine Chiron is standing in your power with self-respect and self-love and self-acceptance of who you are. And then also on that same day, Sun will be conjunct Mercury. You have that in your chart.
Sort of. Everybody's Mercury never goes very far from their sun in their birth chart. Mercury can't be more than one sign away from the sun at any time because it's an inner planet. So that's a whole other thing. But your Mercury is either your sun sign or the sign to the left or right of it on your chart, always. So Sun and Mercury together is the energy of your personality with your communicator. And this can be both positive or it can be, I don't want to say confusing, but obscured, meaning you think your message is who you are. You identify completely with what you're communicating, saying, talking heads. It's just and it's very attached to what you're saying and what you're doing. And that's the identifying force of you. If you're in a place of consciousness and awareness, you know how to deliver a message or speak from a place of the soul and the heart, and what you're saying you're not attached to, meaning like it's not the defining nature of who you are. So this could go either way.
I mean, really, when you're attuned to your spirit and the heart of your consciousness, you're really a channel. What you're saying is coming through you by a divinely inspired source. And so Sun Mercury conjunct can be a chance for you to really speak your heart truth if you're in right way with your spirit. And as Michael said, it can be keep your big mouth shut on that day if you're just babbling stuff and not really in connection to your soul self. December 19th. So then we keep on going. December 20th, Mercury will zip out of Sagittarius, where it was with the sun, and it's going to cruise into Capricorn now. What does that do? How does that change things?
This is kind of like you have to pay the piper for what you've said. Could be a good pay. You could get a nice pan flute out of it, and it was a good payment. While Mercury was in Sagittarius, Sagittarius likes to talk. Sagittarius likes to tell you what it thinks. Sagittarius likes to say, this is my belief and you should believe it too. And then when it goes into Capricorn, it says, let's check that. Let's see if you told the truth. This is going back to karma. If you did truthful, in integrity, and you were doing the best you could to be tuning into your intuition plus cognition, when Mercury goes into Capricorn, it should be like a pass go. Here's $200. Keep going, keep doing what you're doing. And if it's like you were full of horse crap, it's like you're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to retract your statement. You're going to have to correct yourself.
Capricorn's a earth sign that likes justice. And so it makes you pay, as you said, you pay the fiddler for whatever it is you were dancing to. And hopefully you were dancing a good jig and in the right way. So that's December 20th. Now this next day, I don't know if the next day is winter solstice, and I don't know if you've noticed in the night sky to the south, low horizon, just after the sunset, you might have noticed two really bright looking stars. They're planets, and they are Jupiter and Saturn. And we've just mentioned that they've moved into Aquarius, but on the 21st, on winter solstice, they have been slowly coming down towards each other, and on that day they are going to be exactly together, or what we call conjunct. And this is a big day. This is what I said, the whole report is probably this is the big juice of it. What do you think of this?
Jupiter and Saturn come together once every 19. People are looking towards this as a potential of great shift. Of course we're under great shift, but Jupiter and Saturn together has to do with what seeds of integrity you've been sowing, what belief system you've been investing in, where you want to put your energy. Are you investing in Mother Earth and being conscious of all beings, or are you investing in expanding the S&P index? And what will that do towards the future of our planet? Are we looking towards everybody's need or everybody's greed?
So this will have these two, our biggest planets, coming together and being kind of a unbreakable force. It's kind of like when you hook arms, you're that much stronger in Red Rover to not be able to bust through. These two coming together are bringing, as Michael said, this truth and justice is one way to look at it. I like to think of Jupiter as a deep faith. When you take a leap of faith in God or in your own self to do something, and it takes all your courage and all of your belief systems to take that leap, that's Jupiter energy, and it asks us to have that kind of faith in self and others. And then Saturn is also not only justice, but it's karma. And so this is like, trust that this conjunction or this time when these two come together is an opportunity for you to cut those karmic cords, to draw your sword and cut those cords that are binding us. Have faith, and you're going to need the faith because it's not going to be super easy. If it was super easy to break old patterns or to let go of some of our comfort zones that are familiar to us but are not necessarily healthy for us, if that was easy to do, we would have done it a long time ago. But it's challenging to do that. So we need to really put our faith in it's going to be worth it. It's going to be okay. We're going to land on the other side. The leap and the net will appear. It's going to show up. That's a big day for this kind of thing too. But not just Saturn and Jupiter conjunct on winter solstice. The Sun will now move into Capricorn. Sun and Mercury, as Michael said, are always really close to each other. Sun's chasing Mercury, so Mercury zips into Capricorn. Sun comes in right after that. Now the Sun is in the sign of that Earth-centered energy, which is another good thing. We want more of that. Let's stand up for Mother Earth. Justice, right way, law and order. Capricorn has all of that to it. So Sun's going to move there and hold court there for the next 30 days. And then, remember we talked about Eris, not Aries, but Eris, that goddess, much like Kali, of discord and war and mayhem and chaos. Well, she is conjunct her brother Mars in the sign of Aries. So this is like war with a warrior in the war battleground all together on the same day as this Saturn Jupiter conjunction and Sun moving into Capricorn. And I think this has potential for a lot of radical, explosive energy. Eris and Mars together is like, wow. So pay attention on that winter solstice, which is the darkest day of the year, that you maybe sit quietly. And I use solstice as the time where I plant my intention for the whole new year. That's my calendar start. I know January 1 is traditional for us here in the Gregorian calendar ways, but in the old earth ways, the solstice would be the start of a new beginning, because the days are going to slowly start to get lighter, and the snow, if it ever even comes, will thicken through the first couple months of winter. That's the kickoff of winter. But then spring, and we move into these lighter, more growth-oriented energies. Slow but quickly it will come. It seems far away, but it'll be here before you know it. And so solstice eve, light a candle, get quiet, get intimate with your close friends and family, whether it's a Zoom call or in person, and have a circle up. Use the cycle of things. Circles are very much part of the natural order. So sit in a circle and perhaps go around and set your seed of intention of what you would like to see for Mother Earth. Sun in Capricorn at this time. What would you like to see as new ways that the collective moves forward? And what are some ways in which you will contribute? Because this is a big piece that we need to be able to articulate how we can be part of this new paradigm. We've had plenty of time to be thinking and analyzing and looking at what is going on here. And now it's time to say, you know how I'm going to make a difference? I am going to really promote the concept of regenerative farming. That's what we're going to do. That's our piece. Is why is soil so important right now? Why is it important to demand clean water? And why is it important to buy organic and check on the supply source of your food chain and make sure that it's good, clean, cared for food? Whether the animal husbandry is humane or not, all of these things matter. You can do that with just questions that you ask your grocer or your restaurateur if you're ever allowed to go back into a restaurant. I say that facetiously. Of course, you'll be allowed to go back into restaurants. Just wait a little bit longer. Be patient. And then that solstice package, say a prayer, put some intention to it, do some chanting, be in connection to earth energy, have some elements represented in your circle, have some water and some fire and some air and some earth, and bless it and honor it. This is something you could do by yourself or some intimate friends and gathering. I think it's important that we return to the earth ways, and this is something that we can set new tradition around for certain. I mean, thank goodness for the witches, because they've kept these pagan holidays alive for so long underground, but it's time for them to become the way. And we thank the witches for that. I consider myself a green witch, and I've been trying hard to hold on to those ancient ways as best I can, but it's not easy in the modern world. It's often put down or ridiculed, but not standing for that anymore, letting it be what it is, and it's part of the natural law. We're almost there. We're up to December 23rd, and this is a pretty heavy day.
Mars squares Pluto, and Mercury squares Chiron. Remember, Mars is pretty much traveling with Aries, so it's basically Mars and Aries square Pluto. The warrior man, masculine, and the warrior feminine are squaring the power of Shiva, destruction and rebirth. And Mercury, the communicator, the speaker, but Mercury is also the psychopomp that travels into the world of the psychology of death, and that energy is talking to our wounds. This would be a day where I would say try to do as much yoga, prayer, use that energy on the solstice where you got in a circle and got in your group, and stay to the center. Stay to your center. Stay to your heart. Stay to your intuition. Breathe before acting this day. Breathe before speaking. Even take a little bit of a longer pause. It's not that it's bad, because this energy of intensity, squares are meant to bring things to a karmic head point that says this has to change. And why does it have to change? Because it's been doing this too long. And so that intensity is not because it's bad per se, but the intensity is cut it out.
Draw your swords and cut the cords. And really, that's December 23rd. The intensity is going to continue with squares and squares all the way through Christmas. So Christmas Eve, Christmas Day. On Christmas Day, the Sun Squares Chiron. I think that is, for me, when I saw that, this is like my personality, my outward expression of who I am is going to be up against my wound. And at a time where family is so important to us at the holiday time, and many of us are not allowed to see family at this time, I already can tell that that potential square is going to be creating disharmony for me with my longing to be with family. And that's a wound that needs to be healed. And if I can see that in advance, then I can work with that. I can start to nurture it. I can prepare myself in other ways so that I can have the need met, and it's not so pinpoint of a square, as Michael said, that maybe I can tell my family, like, this is going to be so hard for all of us, and this could jar up some of our own wounds, but instead of letting us do that, let's go into some positive thinking, and I'd like us to all share something that we love about each other in a Zoom call. something proactive to keep it from getting taking things personally when we can't be together, or if we are together and we don't want to be because we've been together for a whole year and we need a break, and now we have to do Christmas on top of it. If it's that situation, again, just preparing yourself that this could be a big thorn in the side day for poking on some of those sensitivities that we have personally. It's an easy day to take things personally on December 25th. We're almost there. Then we have Sun trine Uranus on the 27th, and trines are always harmonious. Uranus is that wild card and revelation, and so just on Christmas 2 days earlier, our Sun self, our personality, was taking things personally. Well, now maybe we get a little boon or a little revelation about ourselves that, hey, I'm just fine with who I am. That could be a big piece of it. Or maybe there's a little harmonious outtake of Christmas with family and friends. At least that's my hope.
Celebrate Christmas on the 27th.
Yeah, celebrate Christmas on the 27th. It's the new paradigm. Yeah. Or on Solstice, you can have your...
Or celebrate Solstice.
Do Solstice with family and friends. And then that'll take us up to a Cancer full moon on December 29th. And that's where we'll pick you up the next time and talk about what that emotional, watery full moon will bring for us into the new year 2021. So happy everything, as best you can. Remember to focus on ways that we can heal the earth. That's what the Sagittarian new moon is asking for us. And to draw your swords and cut those cords and have yourself ready to go for 2021, all fresh, clean, strong, and powerful, with none of that shizzle dragging behind. Leave that bank behind. Have a good one.
Namaste.